I want to talk to you about my day, Thursday the 7th of January 2021. I'd call it just another day. Today could have been just any other day for me. I could have picked yesterday, but I wanted to tell you some details about my day today. I've been in my seconded role for just over 12 weeks now, and I've been a qualified social worker for 24 years. I'm proud to work for Essex County Council in adult social care. On average, I work 60+ hours a week, every week, and I'm also on call tonight for adult social care. I was pleased to have Christmas Day, Boxing Day and the bank holiday Monday off in the main, but I lost the rest of my planned annual leave over Christmas with my family, as quite rightly, adult social care needed us to work. Myself and my colleagues did this willingly, as we know that people's lives depend on it. I like to think of myself as pretty resilient. So as I sit at my dining room table to start the day, having convinced my 13-year-old son to go to school for one of his 2 days a week, reassured my 18-year-old daughter that she will see her boyfriend again soon, and made myself a large coffee, I feel okay. A quick check-in text to a colleague of 20 years whose dad sadly passed away of COVID earlier this week, and I'm good to go. I know that I'm going to have to balance some priorities today, like every day, but juggling the calendar is what keeps life interesting. The day starts with an update that 3 of my team managers are now COVID positive. They're still working, but they're scared for themselves, their families and their teams. I feel a bit helpless, to be honest, but I offer assurance that they shouldn't be working if they feel unwell, and we're here to support them. I'm already supporting one of my service managers who's just worked so hard, and he's really only functioning on LEMSIP to balance her work and her well-being. And the other service manager, who has 3 funerals for close family members to organise and attend in the next 3 weeks. She's just come back from some time off over Christmas, and he's understandably still trying to cope emotionally and physically. Supporting them is absolutely one of my priorities, and I wonder how their day will go. My first task of the day is to draft some roles and responsibilities for the service managers who volunteered to work every Sunday until the end of February. They're tired, but they're so committed that they stepped forward immediately when asked, even though they're already on 6-day rotas. I can't do this quite yet though, as I need to support options for an outbreak in a care home that a colleague supported the night before. This is just one of 4 outbreaks this week that are so severe that the provider has asked for support from adult social care. Fortunately, this one's not the same as the one on Tuesday, when all of the 22 old and frail residents were COVID positive, plus all of the staff. It soon changed from 22 though. Sadly, 2 people died overnight. One was identified as at the end of their life. The brilliant social worker and district nurse who visited the home managed to support the person's family seeing them before they died though. They were in the home to support with ensuring that everyone was safe, had food and care. They used the PPE absolutely correctly, but they say that they were scared. That's the same fear that the team managers in my quadrant discussed with me on Tuesday. But scared or not, they continue to support in any way they can and find creative ways to motivate their team to stay resilient. They are, however, crumbling under the demand for stats, sit reps and incoming work tasks related to vulnerable people. What they want to do is social work and occupational therapy to support people and make a difference in their lives. My next instant message is a call from a colleague who's trying to manage a large outbreak in one of our homes. He's trying to get as much support as he can for the service and make sure that everyone's looked after. But he's also balancing this with the home becoming a designated setting on Monday. He just needs someone to say he's doing okay and hasn't missed anything, in his view. In my view, he needs some practical and quick support. Unfortunately, the home administrator is unwell with COVID, as is the registered manager and deputy manager. He therefore has to pick up all of the tasks. We can't finish the call though, as the next meeting on Teams is triggering me to join in the bottom right hand corner of my screen. The day today continued with a call about the business support that we desperately needed in October, but despite everyone's best efforts, is not in post to support the teams. That comes after an email to tell me that reablement in ECL has 34% of its staff off sick in West Essex. I offer my heartfelt support to the lead, but I know with a sinking feeling that that's going to make hospital discharges even more difficult for my team to facilitate. It makes me think about one of the regional calls I was on with the ambulance service on Sunday, where we were told that 200 people who'd rung 999 were waiting. People with a stroke or chest pain were waiting for an ambulance for more than 2 hours, and then up to 5 hours outside of the hospital before hoping for a bed in a crowded critical care. That was the same call when I found out about a young person who'd been in A&E for 80 hours waiting for a mental health bed, and that people were being moved around the hospital to maintain oxygen levels. Just imagine any of those scenarios. For me, they come up every day. I'd love to say that it was a one-off, but sadly my next call of the day had equally difficult news. Princess Alexandra Hospital was still at Opal 4. 500 staff were off sick, with 170 who were COVID positive, and there were 200 COVID patients in the hospital. What was really difficult is that no one was well enough to go to a designated setting, even though everyone's trying to get people home first. Everyone's doing their bit. For example, the worker in the service placement team who cried because of the 226 requests for care that were received from 2 of the quadrants alone on New Year's Eve. Or the procurement contracts lead who apologised for being unable to send me a report, as she'd been working till 1 AM last night to support some provider of last resort care options. Or a senior colleague who I know was working between 4 AM and midnight some days before Christmas, worked until 1:30 in the morning yesterday, and yet still responded to an email that I sent him at 9 o'clock. These are just some of the things happening this week. I could list more, but finding time to reflect and not just see these things as everyday business as usual in adult social care is challenging. I write this at 9:20 after working for 14 hours and having just been dealing with another whole home care outbreak. This time it related to 30 residents and 28 staff. I'm still online as our frontline staff and procurement colleagues. I try to think that surely it can't get worse because of COVID. Of course, I know it can, and I know it's going to, but I can't quite process that right now. Partly that's because I still have a diary full of meetings to attend, colleagues to support, people like my parents and your parents to keep safe, and an on-call tonight that's yet to unfold. I balance this with trying to maintain my well-being and have a life as a wife, mum, daughter, sister and friend. It's tricky, but to do this the other night, I went for a walk in the rain at 8 o'clock. I just had to get some air and clear my head. Tonight though, even that feels too difficult. My role is to lead and support colleagues, a role that I take seriously and am committed to do. But the plates I'm spinning and getting trickier to balance, and the time I have to undertake everything I need to do is shrinking. I'm proud to do the job that I love, and each quadrant I know is happy to be on 5 system calls a day, plus support vulnerable people in the community, as we know we do our best work when we're part of the system. We need some support though, and we need it now. We need it without a business case, without a full scoping, and maybe without the detail we'd like to be able to give. We need it in any way that it can be given, and we need it to be offered freely for the benefit of ECC and the people of Essex. Once this is over, tomorrow will be just another day for me. Another day of challenges and without testing, but with a vaccine coming closer into focus and another opportunity to do our best in adult social care.